go. Okay. All right. I'll see you in a little while. The connection has now been made. And I step toward you to continue our conversations that we've had for a few weeks. So over the course of the conversations we are calling What is a Soul, we have covered quite a range of issues. And this was quite educational, I hope, to show to you how underlying all of this is a spiritual form which we can call consciousness or awareness. In some cultures, there is a difference between consciousness and awareness. We do not need to go into that depth here. We also said that the consciousness is like a lake, a river, an ocean. And the soul is like the belief of being one corner of that ocean. The belief that I am separate. I have to protect what is mine and look after. I am dependent on the quality of the existence here. Yet the soul believes that it is chasing something else and has within its nature a need to be impressionable, to learn, to evolve, to find its way back into the unified form of the whole consciousness. We said the true nature of the soul is pliable. It needs to learn, to develop. It is impressionable from conditioning. It is impressionable from the education by your parents, society, the beliefs of the world. And yet, underneath it all, it is very stable and true and unchanging. In some cultures, they describe many different types of consciousness or many different layers. And here, with this description, you may be able to see two of those. The surface layer, which is susceptible to changes, and the depth, which is unchanging. Now, these talks have shown to you, I do hope, that there is a connection between everyone, and in essence, everyone is the same. Your physical existence is different, but your spiritual existence in its depth is the same. So here we have how people say we are all connected. And to some degree, there is the truth in that everything is energy. We would need to continue that topic to explain that further. We also explained that the soul going through the evolution is not just within the physical world, but also during its development within what you could call the astral world. Here, again, the soul is learning and developing, gaining experiences or knowledge, or choosing just for a while to settle. It may be connected to another body, another existence, or it may not for a while, for a little bit of time. But the desire is to be reborn, to connect to the physical once more. Again, because it sees that its development is external, trying to gain information, knowledge, experience externally to satisfy what is missing internally. This is part of the true nature of the soul, to be susceptible to circumstance. But should a soul become too stagnant, too rigid in its belief, too crusty, if you like, on the surface at least, then it becomes less pliable, less open to impression. The identity is formed because my crust is different to your crust. And here, as we've said before, then there becomes regularity. Life seems to conform to regular routines. We said on the inside, the soul, the impressions the soul gets from the inner world, from its true depth, the access to knowledge, information, love. That knowledge is still there, but becomes more and more covered and difficult to attain because the flexibility, the pliability of the soul has been diminished because of this crust. So the development of those on this path then stagnates. At times it becomes difficult. The access to the world of spiritual becomes harder and appears to be beyond its reach. Of course, it is not just the retention of beliefs that cause the crust, but anything material. It may believe its emotions are its true nature, its beliefs, the body, materialism. All of this reaffirms the corner of the ocean. I own this rock, you do not. So here in people's spiritual path, they plateau and continue on the same level without change. But the access to the depth is still there. The call of spirit, the information coming from the depth to the surface, still occurs, but the soul becomes less perceptible. So it is by breaking that crust, by creating change, by accepting change, by you actually making your own change, by understanding a different viewpoint, by simply moving house, by eating different food, going to a different city. All of this can change the regularity and just provide some slight breaks in the crust. But if you move from one house or one city to another and just re-cement your routines and regularity, that initial breaking of the crust will reform. We said also the act of meditation softens not only the crust of conditioning, but also opens the heart and makes the accepting of information more possible. It has been said that this is like breaking a stone statue to reveal the light. If you wish to progress spiritually, then regularity initially will give you habit, but at some stage you will have to break habits. And in the Diamond Sutra of the Buddha, it does say that you should not cling to the Dharma like a raft. At some stage you have to let go of your knowledge so that you may reveal your full potential. The potential to be, see, to do anything. So here again, the exercise of listening to your internal voice, listening to the words which are spoken internally, will give you more truth or more reliability with practice of those words rather than the words of society. So it is the breaking of the crust and listening internally, by going internally. And here you can find your own truth. To a small group of people, I gave an exercise of just become your awareness no matter what changes take place. We did a brief exercise of maybe 30 seconds or not much more. Just be aware and ignore the circumstances that arrive. And this is the realization, no matter what happens externally, your awareness will continue. Awareness to the world, the watching of the world. It is the awareness that is truth. It is the world which is illusion. Again, that will take some deep thought and explaining. But all of creation takes place within consciousness. So if you are just watching the world, and you can connect to your consciousness, which is an expression of the true spirit, the great spirit, but it is only an expression. There is much more. But if you can connect to this, you have taken a step along your path of realizing who you are. And if you wish, I can give you exercises which will take you further into that. Things you should practice. So if this consciousness is unaffected, all of creation just bubbles on the surface layer, that there is no separation, just a belief in separation. The conscious layer is not affected by anything, yet it creates everything. Here, this can be seen as the one mind, because it is unaffected by everything in its depth. Then what you do wrong has no effect on it. What you do right has no effect on it. It has an effect only on the surface layer of the corner of the ocean. So as that corner is trying to come home, something which is done and been labeled as sin, error, wrong, it is felt by the being, the individual being, but not by the one being. If you were to, let us say, rob a bank, it is an easy example. You would know within your mind that this is the wrong thing to do. Even if your intentions were pure, it is still the wrong thing to do. And that is retained within memory. And memory eventually will become form. Thus, the circulation of activity will occur. And then the soul's, what it perceives to be its vibrational rate, is limited because of this memory, which is a layer of crust once more, is over its surface. It is held back, only to have to clear away that level of crust in a future time. It is dusted away. So on an individual level, there is error, there is mistake, there is sin. But as the individuality is erroneous, so is the sin. The sin did not occur because the event is still within the conscious state. So if you live your error, your karma, your sin, it will be a sign of where you are on your path. If you believe in individuality and have not found the totality yet, then you will relive your karma. If you have found the whole, then that karma will be up there somewhere, but of no concern. So let me make sure you understand this. If you do something, you will get the opposite reaction. And it will affect the individuality and not the universality. So as was said last week, if you wish to change this, to move past where you are, to go greater into the depth of who you are, to come to the point of realization of reincarnation, no reincarnation, and to understand that truth, to understand who and what you truly are. It begins with the changing of habits. And this is just to release, to reveal what is there. It is not to create another habit, it is to reveal what is there. To surrender what you know, to surrender what you think you hold dear, to surrender your sense of self, this identity, to surrender both the successes and the failures, to constantly come back to this awareness. And then, of course, that is home. This is where you are. So the corner of the ocean is affirmed by a belief of an identity. This, of course, is ego, saying, I am this corner, I own this rock. When the ocean is smooth and clear, so am I. When it is turbulent, I am damaged and deformed. When I have done something wrong or something wrong is done to me, I am minimized and have to recover. I live birth and death every day. I see that you will damage me and see that there will be pain. So an exercise was given some months ago. I think October or November last year. And that was before any activity to build up love in your heart. It is this activity that will help you to melt away that crust. Unless, of course, you want to hold on to it. There are many, many, many who do. Have wished to conform into their life. So in previous talks, we have spoken about topics of how to be a healer, how to be a medium, how to be psychic, and other things. And at the core of all these beliefs is the truth that you are available or You have the knowledge available. And you can see, I hope, what is it that is reducing, minimizing, stopping, or not allowing the message or the healing to take place. In conversations which we had this week and next week by myself through the medium in other groups, it will be about allowing spirit in. We are trying to come through you all. There is no one that is left aside, because how can we leave anyone alone when we are all unified? Everybody is given the same help, advice, assistance, skills, love. It is how much you let it happen. Controlling your external world is that block. The block, which means the internal world does not reveal itself in its full potential. Those of you which are showing signs and know that there are signs that you are progressing. Of course, for many, many, it is slowly revealing itself. For others, of course, it happens rather quicker. But it is the same skill set in all, because it is the same ability in all. You all have the same ability as everyone else. You all have access to the same knowledge. You all could give this talk if you would but let us to come through you to do it. Otherwise, how could you be one? Now it is the energy that runs through this conscious state at the surface level, which gives thought, which gives the desire forward to progress, but also the desire to go within and to reconnect. It is this which evolves consciousness. And each little bit of knowledge is superseded, but is retained. So rather like mathematics, the knowledge you learn in the beginning may be just 1 + 1. And then you add in various other ways, subtraction, division, multiplication, etc. But 1 + 1 is always there still. So the growth of you does not negate your past. And consciousness still continues to evolve as it reveals more and more of itself to the surface level. I presume now you could see why different inventions occur on the planet in multiple locations without conversation or connection. So my challenge to you to reaffirm your path back, that you must take. Just your selection of time is your own. My challenge is for you to shuffle your life, your viewpoint on life. Undertake maybe a little activity that you do not normally undertake. To surrender, to let somebody else have control. To let somebody guide you, to take care of you. Become the disciple to your favorite guru. To simply visit other places, go in other directions. And you will know then that outside of your comfort zone is where you live, because you feel alive, because you have broken some of that crust. For some of you, you will already know internally the light is beginning to reveal itself. It is generally a blue light. Some may perceive it to be white blue. And this, of course, is spirit shining through the layers of dust and crust. This simple exercise of surrendering control and going on paths that you may not have gone will expand your belief, and to realize that you can then develop further. And the crust of belief is changing once more. This is how come surrender, trust, letting go become the qualities to live by. Listen to other opinions. Accept them nor reject them. Come back to the awareness and see if you can see the consciousness, the spirit behind other people, the true nature, rather than the form There are signs in your world which point you ever on in this direction. But they are taken for granted. They are not seen. They are skipped past as if they do not exist. The joy of looking at a sunset or a newborn baby. The beauty that you see there is the beauty within yourself reflecting back to you. The love that's within your heart is then seen externally in the world. The more that you let go internally, the more your world changes. The more peace you have, the more peace your neighbor will have. You think your times of just sitting in meditation are for your benefit. But how can it be for your benefit if you are one with everything else? You meditate for everybody's benefit. You meditate not just to relieve your burdens, but to relieve the burdens of others. One person does not awaken. It is the self that observes the awakening of one person, knowing that everybody benefits. Do not minimize your path, your effort. Do not surrender your path easily. Be prepared for variety. And let the truth that is within your soul come once more fully into the world. There are various activities and exercises you can practice to reaffirm this, to make it easier for yourself to release the truth that you know. Because when you hear the truth in your being, you know it to be true. And in the coming weeks, we'll explain these activities, which will not only help you on your path, but will reveal, when practiced sufficiently, your full potential, allowing your progress within, let us say, mediumship. But in truth, it'll reveal your progress in many other ways. Mediumship is but one. We attempt to cover as many of these as we can, and we will reaffirm them back into other events. To try to see that, or try for you to see, to each of them in a little more detail. Until next week, may peace be both within your heart and reflected on the surface. God bless you.